Yeah, Chad, I feel like you're trying to be being very unrealistic here with like certain players like performances and such. I guess like statistically you would think that Demon One's like underperforming, but like bro, there's like three things. He's playing in a different team for one than what he was playing with during the EG era. So playstyle wise, it just changes everything. Two, he's playing like a completely different meta than what he was playing as well. Three, he's playing on a different role than what he normally plays. Like he would normally play Astra and stuff. I don't know. People are just expecting like people who were previously star players or previous like MVPs for events. You're just expecting them to drop 30 every map. Very unrealistic. Bro, I want you to use your eyeballs, take a look at the game, and tell me can anyone go crazy with the amount of abilities on their screen? It is quite literally impossible. It is quite literally impossible. I would understand it if people were like, if he's on the same team and then the meta is like exactly the same of what it was before. But the thing about VALORANT is the meta is always changing. The meta is always different, and that's why like I don't think it's like realistic. What? How did that miss? I don't think it's realistically possible to like have like a faker in this game, like someone that just like wins 4 world championships, like 10 regionals. I think it's almost fucking impossible for this game in particular. People just hate for it. Yeah. Let's use our brains a little bit. Let's let's not just blindly light the torches, chat. You know, Oxy's a good duelist. I think he's a fantastic duelist. And I think he has a lot of potential to be like one of like the best players in VALORANT ever. I just think Oxy needs a good direction, because like not only Oxy just like insane, but I feel like he also has like a good heart as well. And I feel like he's like he's not like stubborn. He's just like he's a kid that enjoys playing the fucking game. And so that's something that I think you can definitely like mold into a great player. But like what I said, you need to have a good sense of direction for like younger players. You have to like cater to them to some degree. So for an example, let's say you're like in VOD review, right? And let's say this younger player just like overheats or something. You can't like take away that spark. You can't just like go into every single fucking practice day and be like, why the fuck are you doing this? Why the fuck are you doing that? Eventually, if you keep shitting on that player like that, their confidence will shoot down, and then you're gonna like dim the star. Obviously, you have to look at like VOD review and stuff at like an analytical level and be like, okay, you didn't mess us up. But there's some things that like some players do that are a bit irrational, but that is what makes that player that player. And that's what makes them so special. And that's what allows them to do stuff that other players are not able to do. So you can't take away that like special thing. That's like something I'm a really big advocate for, because I definitely think I got my fucking wings clipped off at a pretty young age. I lost that spark a bit. I mean, I still have like a bit of it, but I feel like the nature of me, I'm like, I'm still weird, but like I'm definitely leaning to like the more normal side of like what I was previously. But also that's like a thing that just like comes with like time too, and like what you have to like cater to. That's more for like CS. In VALORANT, I've been like the same player I've been. I definitely learned a lot from CS, and maybe it did transition a little bit into like VALORANT. Sometimes I think about like, what if I grew up in an era where like VALORANT was all I knew? I was like my fucking 16-year-old self, because I was a fucking demon when I was younger. Bro, I won't lie. I was like such a fucking simple-minded human, but I was a simple-minded human that could fucking shoot. Bro, I was a shooter at 16. How do you guys decide who sits where? It's just like normally a team discussion. That's what it normally is. The most common thing is having your IGL in the middle. That's normally the most common thing, but it's really dependent. Like some people like sitting on the island, some people like sitting more towards the center. I've always been someone that like sits at the edge. That's not like what I decide, it's what my team decides. Like I'm just like always just like on an island at the edge. I don't think I've ever, in my esports career, ever sat towards the middle, like any of the middle 3 seats. I don't think it would feel much different. Like, I remember our ideology would be like, oh, you want to like surround quieter players with louder players, and that kind of like brings their energy up. But for an example, if you had a really quiet player, it would be optimal to put them in seat 2 or 4, so they're surrounded by 2 other people that can like kind of like boost up their morale, get them talking more, get them more active and such. That's like kind of like a philosophy that some teams use. Like it's preference. Like there's no wrong way to do it. I mean, some people don't even have their IGL in the middle. Sometimes they put like a star player in the middle. Like it's really just dependent. Oh yeah, my first question was I noticed that there was a seating change with you guys, where now Bang is sitting in the middle. Yeah. So is there any deeper meaning to that, or is it like just something that happens?
Yeah, I mean it's Kaplan's idea. We felt like we had a lot of issues on stage, and we thought like changing the seating would like change a bit the vibes. Like, you know how it goes, like some people like get a bit in their head and some other people are like more positive and like stuff like that. We're trying to like surround the kids with the love.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The vets are in like in the corners and we're just surrounding them.
That's really funny. Also, another question, did you guys ever experiment with Waylay, or is it kind of like too scary to do that right now because you kind of still need points to qualify for both Toronto and for Champions?
Yeah, I think Waylay is good in some certain maps, but I feel like it's not worth the time and the prep for it. Like, in my opinion, like the other duelists are like very good / maybe better, and like for example Euro is like overtuned as fuck. We will like look into it for the future for sure. I think Fracture is her best map in my opinion. She looks very strong in Fracture. At the end of the day, like we didn't have much time like after Bangkok obviously, so we're still like working on stuff.
Honestly, I wasn't a Fracture believer for Waylay at the start, but then I kind of thought about like the fact that the map is very like fast paced, constant skirmishes, and then also 4 orbs being on the map, and I think that like Waylay is a really good character for the ult cycling like util bullshit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With like Breach, Teo, Waylay, I think that like 3 is like pretty insane. So I can definitely see that being pretty strong.
I think ISO definitely got a buff. He's super strong and like very snowbally, especially with Euro. Like having a Euro ult and then you go into another round and you have ISO ult, and like obviously like the ISO ult becomes 6 points, as you said before, like if you have ult. So like it's such a snowbally comp, and like to be honest, for me like ISO is viable on like any map. Like if you have the team for it, like you see how T1 is doing it. Like Meteor is definitely like the best ISO in the world. Yeah. I think the meta right now, even though like a lot of people complain about the Teho Breach Euro, I still think it's very healthy, and I feel like a lot of teams can just like shine with their own playstyle.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Jordan said being an NBA player is harder than being an esports player. Thoughts? I would agree. I think NBA is way harder. I mean, esports players only have to focus really on like the mental part of the game, whereas NBA, I feel like you have to focus on, not only do you have to focus on mental and physical, but you have to be like physically gifted as well. Like if you're not like 6'5", it's cooked. I think being an esports player, anyone can do it. It just takes a lot of time. And you just need to find the right fit for what game you're playing. Certain people's brains are just wired differently. For an example, chat, I grew up playing video games legit like since I was 2 years old. Since I was 2 years old, I was playing fucking Halo on Xbox. At 3 years old, I was playing Scouts and Knives on Counter-Strike 1.6. Do you think if I just randomly picked up games when I was 16 years old, I would have the skill level that I do now? Fuck no. Like playing games and stuff it's all just time. And it's like practicing an instrument, right? Like you can learn an instrument, and if you just play it for a really long time, you're going to get good at it. And then it'll become like second nature to you. And it's kind of like what happened to me, where anything gaming related is very second nature to me, and it comes really fast. If you have a kid and you want them to be an esports player, just give them a fucking mouse and keyboard at the age of 1 year old, and they'll become goats in 18 years time.